business. Item A, Lost Highway Performance Agreement for Rose Fest, and this is essentially the same as last year, just with dates changed.
Yep, actually the last 2 years. So, yeah, and Scott, I don't know if you had any, the changes that you guys, I suggested, or you suggested last year, we
Right.
right into this.
No, that's fine.
I'll make that a motion.
Second that one.
All in favor?
Aye.
That was easy. Item B, parking in 600 block of Second Street.
Chief Scholander.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I was approached by a business owner who's been on Main Street for 40 years, and they're concerned about the time vehicles that parked on Main Street. And I said, well, we can maybe bring this up at the council and discuss your feelings, thoughts on timed parking. You know, you can't park after 2 AM anyways, but I said I would bring this to the council's attention.
Okay, well, I did a little checking into this, and in our city code, section 1305.17, time parking, we can just by resolution set specified time periods for parking anywhere from 15 minutes to several hours, any particular place in town we wish. Apparently, there was a resolution some time ago because the 500 and 600 block are already posted 2-hour parking. I've never noticed the signs either till I went and looked this weekend. And some are just 2-hour parking, some say 2-hour parking, I believe it's 8 AM to 7 PM, or perhaps the reverse. So, it appears that the only issue is an enforcement mechanism, or else take the signs down and start over. We certainly aren't going to invest in parking meters.
I agree with that.
So, what would be your thoughts on a fair and equitable and cost-effective, personnel time-effective way of enforcing this?
When it comes to enforcement, I am always in favor of consistency and fairness.
Exactly.
And given our schedules and so forth, I can tell you it's going to be hard to be consistent and fair. Today I had to go to Red Wing, I had to go to Faribault. There are times that I'm gone for things, and if I'm gone and there's no one covering for that time, if I have to run somebody to jail, no one's going to be covering town for that time. Who's going to enforce that?
I thought exactly.
And like I said, I want it to be consistent and fair. I'm all for, if you would like me to enforce floor parking, we certainly can. I think the downside of that is I'm going to get some heat from local business owners on.
And frankly, we're shorthanded enough as it is without devoting officer time to this issue.
Absolutely. I told this person I would bring this to the council to get some feedback, and I feel foolish. I did not know that those signs were up there. I did not know.
I didn't know either till Saturday when I drove up and down looking.
There's a total of 7.
Oh, you checked it out
Oh,
too?
yeah, I did, went through it. I was also gonna look at this here, what the chief has said, and that, it depends on, like today, I was able to go a number of different times, and it varies so much, that there's a lot of cars there. All of a sudden, I'm glad to see the cars there. I'd certainly like to have the people in and out, and that, the only other thing that I was thinking of was possibly making parking stalls, but in the wintertime, the snow is there, and that'd be difficult to enforce in the first place for the chief to do it.
I'm not sure
really
that
look
you-
at it, my opinion is, this is just a minor little problem, let it go away. They're doing the best they can.
You know, a few years ago, we drive down Main Street, we empty,
That's
totally
right.
empty. As a matter of fact, I've talked to owners and said, have your employees parked in the street. Nothing more sad to see Main Street empty. We're very fortunate. We've got 2 major highways coming through Kenyon. A lot of towns, the town has been bypassed. Nothing more depressing to see no cars on Main Street. It's just fantastic. I drive down Main Street, it is full. I don't mind having to walk a little bit. And personally, our officers, they're not meter maids.
That's exactly right.
So I say,
We don't,
take the signs down, and things have been going great, I think.
I will follow your request, like I said, I just.
That's my personal opinion, I'm not speaking for the council.
No, Fred, I think, I'm in agreement with you. I didn't realize even taking the signs down, you know, and that.
I don't know that that's necessary
Yeah.
either.
Really, but I think, personally, I think this is just a very small, little minor incident.
Actually, one thing I would say that since we have a representative of the fourth estate here in the room, that perhaps we could put a friendly reminder in the paper that there is supposed to be a 2-hour limit on parking on Main Street. Please try to observe this, and some businesses do not have on off-street parking.
Well, and I think if you're maybe at, for example, at the dentist office or maybe one of the lawyer's offices, sometimes you could be there for a couple hours.
It's easily.
I would have a hard time.
It'd be nice if we had more city parking lots
Absolutely.
available.
Absolutely. I would have a hard time though coming to Mark and saying I had to write somebody a ticket, or coming to the council and having you say, why did you write this person a ticket when they're getting the work getting out? I feel we've got better things to do as well, and
Yes.
like I said, I wanted to be consistent and fair, because if I do it for one, I want to.
Exactly. It's just way too much potential for selective enforcement, and then people feel they've got in for me,
I don't want
and we
that.
don't need that.
We work very hard at working with our public, I certainly don't want to take any steps back.
You don't need to get somebody mad from out of town.
Exactly.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you.
We all agree that it's basically a non-issue. Item C, Hiawatha Land Transit Letter of Support. I was really happy to see this.
Were you?
Yeah.
I'm happy for that. My name's Amy Rapinski. I'm from Three Rivers Community Action, Hiawatha Land Transit. Have you guys heard of Three Rivers before? We're
Oh,
a
absolutely.
nonprofit. Okay. We run programs like Head Start and energy assistance and things like that. And our largest department within Three Rivers is Hiawatha Land Transit. We've been providing public transit services for nearly 20 years. We started out with one bus in one community of Lake City, and now we operate about 50 buses in Winona, Wabasha, Goodhue, and Rice counties. What we're looking to do is let me back up here, a little bit about the transit service. Have you guys heard of the transit service before? Or? Okay,
Heard of it, not really familiar.
Okay, so basically in our larger communities, like in Faribault and Northfield, we run a route service where the bus has pre-scheduled determined stops and will stop and pick up anywhere from 5 to 10 to 20 people who is ever standing about there, and then continue on a route line. In our smaller communities like Plainview and Elgin and Wabasha, we run what's called a dial-a-ride service, where essentially we have one bus within that community or a shared community like Plainview and Elgin. And we have that bus available, and people call up and request the bus, and then on demand, we will come to their home, pick them up, and take them wherever they need to go. So I hate to say glorified taxi cab service, because it's not, but it is public transportation. We can pick up multiple people. You know, you can get picked up at your house, you can stop 3 houses along the way to pick up people, drop off a dentist or somewhere along the way. So it's not individualized transportation. It won't be just you on the bus. It can be many people. And basically, we take anybody for any reason. So there's not stipulations on it that it has to be a medical appointment, or it has to be an elderly person, or they need to be disabled, or anything like that. It is completely open to the public. We do see a lot of elderly people that do ride. We see a lot of people going for medical appointments. We have a lot of preschool kids that ride to and from daycare, so the parents don't have to leave in the middle of the day to try to get their kid from school and home, things like that. So those are kind of like in the smaller communities, the type of service that we would run. And what we're looking to do is to, we want to get the council support. I kind of wanted to give you guys some information. and get your guys' support looking at, or letting us look at expanding service into the Wanamingo and Kenyon area. Due to the size of the towns, we would look at having that joint venture, kind of like we're similar in Plainview and Elgin, where we'd have one bus between the communities, and then, and on demand, as people would need us, we would come out and pick them up and take them wherever they would need to go. And the cost to do this is $1.75 is what we currently charge per ride. So if you wanted to go from your home to the grocery store, it'd be $1.75. If you want to get picked up from the grocery store and go back home, it would be another $1.75. Every time you get on the bus, you pay that fare, okay? So that's a little bit about the service and how it's run. We receive 85% of our funding for the daily operations of the service from MnDOT, okay? The other 15%, Three Rivers raises through those fares, those $1.75 we collect, so some advertising and other promotions and things like that. We cover the annual operating charges in all of our communities. We don't look for any community support for that. Every 7 years, we do get new vehicles in our communities, and that's where we look for the support from the communities to help chip in a 20% match on that for local contribution. So in this situation, we want to look at trying to pilot the Hiawatha Land Transit System within Wanamingo and Kenyon. We would look at trying to present a grant proposal to the state and pilot it for up to 2 years. And in that 2 years, we would cover all the operating charges and everything like that. We would not look at purchasing a new vehicle. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves and purchase something and then have it not take off and be stuck with a new vehicle, something like that. After 2 years, if the pilot does work out and we do see ridership to where it needs to meet the state minimum standards, then we would look at purchasing a new vehicle and moving that service into permanent and out of that pilot phase. So, and then with that, we also have a transit advisory board, and we have one representative from each community. It can be a city council person, it can be a city staff member that meets quarterly to hear updates, talk about any problems that are having with the transit service, things like that. So that's how we're governed and how we're financed and a little bit about the service. So the steps that we'd like to take forward or go forward with your support would be to survey the areas here to find out how much of a need there is. You know, who's going to use the service, what hours would they use the service, what days would they use the service, things like that. And then I'd like to come back at that point and present that material to the council to show that there is a need, we'd like to write this grant, and at that point get a resolution or a letter of support from our council that you'd like for us to go forward with this in your community.
Now, you say the buses are replaced every 6 to 7 years, $74,000 the cost of one.
Yep, and so it would be the 20% is, MnDOT funds 80% of that
Right.
overall cost, and so the 20% would be the cost that would be the local communities match.
So that would be approximately $15,000.
Yeah, $15,000.
And if we're talking Kenyon and Wanamingo, presumably that would be an even split there.
You know, that's something we let the communities decide. I know in Plainview and Elgin, for example, like Plainview's bigger than Elgin. I think they pay 2/3 and then Elgin would pay the 1/3. Or however you want to split it. Some
Right.
split it based on population, others just do half. It's kind of, you know, we let them determine that.
Actually, the fair way to do that probably would be to wait till after the pilot and see how the ridership, the usage splits.
You might have more people in Wanamingo using it, more people in Kenyon. I have no idea. You know, we all have to see how it works.
But you don't necessarily drive people out of town.
No, what we do in our communities that need to connect, we do understand that there are some resources that are maybe not available to people here in these communities. For example, maybe they need to go Rochester to the Mayo Clinic, or they need to get to the clinic in Zumbrota. We don't do those direct on demand. You know, we stay within the confines of the service area that we've set and up to 2 miles outside of the city limits in this case. So if somebody did need to go to Zumbrota, we would have predetermined times that you can only go at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and then the return would be later in the afternoon. Because we don't want to be taking that bus out of the service area. We only allow that access at one point throughout the day and then later on to come back.
It is possible.
It is possible. So if you did have like an appointment for specialty care in, say, Zumbrota or in Faribault, you could get access over there. They tend not to be exactly what people like, though, because if your appointment's not until 11 and you have to go at 9 in the morning, you're going to end up waiting around there. But we do have that available for them. A lot of people rely on that simply because they don't have family around that can help take them anymore, or they're working, things like that. So.
And it would be possible for people to coordinate group?
Yep. Group trips, we do a lot for, say, nursing homes, assisted living places, they wanna take a group trip somewhere, or just, a lot of senior centers will put up flyers and they'll say, everybody wants to go do a certain type of trip, and we'll go over to the senior center or go and even pick up people at their homes and take them somewhere, things like that.
When you're saying Winnebago and Kenyon,
Mhm.
are you operating in this one and this one, or are you gonna?
Go back and forth
intermingle
between,
back?
yep.
So,
It's on
in
demand.
other words, people from here can go over here and then it's back to here, like
Correct.
the school children or something of that sort.
Right.
In the schools here
Right.
or that. Okay.
So like, for example,
You're referring between Kenyon and Wanamaker?
yeah, that would be
Correct.
okay, so
Yes.
Kenyon and Wanamago would be the service area, and what we do is, we say that Kenyon and Wanamago is the service area, and our confines are basically gonna be up to 2 miles outside of those city limits. So anything in between there, the bus will go freely back and forth. Now, to connect to our other service areas, say like Faribault or Zumbrota, that's when we limit it to that one time a day back
Yeah.
and forth,
Okay,
yeah.
so in other words, somebody from Winnebago wishes to come over to the grocery store
Anytime,
here,
yeah.
and pick them up, bring them over
Yep.
here, and they go back.
Yep.
So, okay,
So basically, yeah, so people from Wanamago can come over, we may drop them off at the grocery store, we may go pick up 3 other people, bring them down to the library, then the person is done at the grocery store here in Kenyon, wants to go back to Wanamago, we may do that.
okay.
Well, I'm certainly absolutely in favor of moving forward with this. Cost us nothing to find out whether the service is going to be really needed, and when and
Right.
if that's determined, it's going to be relatively inexpensive.
Yes, I agree. That should help the businesses.
I
I
think
mean,
that,
I'm looking for ours, for Kenyon.
I know Wanamago doesn't have a grocery store and things like that,
Yeah,
I think it would
that's
allow
what
access to that.
I'm-
The other thing
yes.
that, we do have a volunteer driver program that has been working in this area, however, volunteers are becoming more and more scarce, people aren't volunteering and they don't wanna drive and things like that. So it's becoming harder and harder for citizens in this community to get access to places. So we're hoping by having this, it helps, the local businesses as well, but it helps people remain independent and in their homes longer and get them around.
Sounds good to me.
Mm-hmm.
So my timeline on this, in order to, I would do the surveying probably starting in March. I'd like to come and speak to you guys before we start doing the surveying, so you guys don't hear about it in the communities and not know what's going on. Would be in March. I have to have this all submitted to MnDOT by August 1st, so I would like to come back to you guys probably in June or July to say, hey, this is what we did, and have a copy of the resolution to sign off on and things like that. I need to submit the actual grant proposals, like I said, with August 1st with the survey results, as well as resolutions supporting it. If we did get funded, it would operate on a calendar year, so it would start the following January with the pilot program.
Wonderful. Well, I think we're all in favor of proceeding. Mm-hmm.
Great. I will leave some brochures here if you guys want some more information on this. Otherwise, if you have any questions, you can feel free to contact me. Mark has my information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have you approached Winnebago yet?
I was at their city council meeting last night.
What did they have to say?
They were very much in favor. I had no problems at all, so I'm sure you might be hearing from them then too, so.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
thank you.
Okay. So the next item is Schweppes liquor license renewal. Annual renewal of the license that, the liquor license, the Sunday liquor license, and the outdoor patio license that they currently have. We have a motion to approve renewing that license. So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Excuse me, who did the second on that?
Thank you.
2015 wastewater treatment facility operational award. Cities received 2015 wastewater treatment facility operational award from the MPCA. Water operator Steve Paulson was noted for exceptional facility operations, including effluent limits not being exceeded, timely reports submittal, and no unauthorized flow releases. Great. All the money that we've invested in that is paying dividends. Award will be presented in March at the wastewater operators conference in Brooklyn Park, and unless somebody chooses to go up there to accept it, it'll be mailed out to us.
Yeah, I would
Personally,
assume
I'd like to
somebody's
see
gonna
Steve
go up
go.
there. Oh, yeah,
I think he's earned it. I think that this is something that we should recognize our city employees with. And that, give him the day to go. I'm sure he's gonna learn something
yeah,
up there.
I'm sure
so,
he's gonna go.
Okay.
And item F, approve hiring of part-time bartender clerk at the liquor store.
So moved.
Second?
On favor?
Aye.
We have worked ourselves right out of a job, gentlemen. This month. Only other item here is the schedule of upcoming meetings, EDA special meeting Tuesday, February 23rd at 8 a.m. and next regular city council meeting Tuesday, March 8th at 7 p.m. Council and staff general comments. Comments, gentlemen?
Welcome rest to Steve.
Absolutely.
Oh, I agree.
His only remaining job is to make sure that his understudy is well-trained by the time we let him go. By the time we let Steve.
By the time he retires.
That sounds better.
Well, I say let him go in that, doggone, don't really want to see him quit. He quit, but we're not gonna let him go. No, we'll tie him up down there and
What is that? Being a consultant? Consultant?
Yes, well, then we have to pay him a lot.
Yeah, but still. Train runs off the track, we might be paying more.
so, I'm waiting for,
More comments.
no, I'm waiting for more
I
motion.
we adjourn.
I'll second that one.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Love to do that.
All right, there you go, Mayor.
Thanks.
Oh, really? 58 to 40.
Just updated, just slipped in the third place.
Wait, one side.
That's interesting. Republican is- they said Bush was third, but now it's like Cruz was. I don't know.
Kasich kind of snuck up some. Hiding in the weeds and then suddenly jumped up to ambush him.
Yeah, he kind of did. Hillary's vote, I still love her.
Bernie, 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 Bernie.